Gazelle joins me now. Thank you so much for being here. I imagine yesterday on Father's Day, the first Father's Day you've had without your dad, must have been a difficult one. We'll talk about the Iranian people rising up in a second, but I just want to talk about your father's story. He didn't live or even travel to Iran. He was abducted while in Dubai, imprisoned for 4 years, then a sham trial. Why him? Why was he targeted?
Thank you for asking that, and thank you for having me today. My father, and I have to correct that, he was not an Iranian citizen. He was actually growing up in Germany and for the last 2 or 3 decades living in America. And from here, he was using his trade, which was being a software engineer, to create a website for the people of Iran where they could communicate with the outside world. They could talk about their grievances. They could show that this regime that is inside of Iran is not Iranian, and it's actually an occupation by the nation of Iran. So this exposure was a big thorn in the eyes of the Islamic regime that tries to pose for the last 46 years as a legitimate government, as the leadership of Iran. Though they were not elected, they're not Iranian, they don't have Iran's interest in mind, they are a foreign occupation, that's what I wrote in my tweet, and they're exploiting the territory and the resources of the Iranian people to terrorize them and the region and America. So when my father was here in America, they tried to assassinate him in 2009. And when he had a flight overlay in Dubai, they kidnapped him, took him over there. And 1 week before the last election, before President Trump was elected, they murdered my father and mutilated his body. And we're still trying to get my father back to California to give him his peace.
You don't even have his remains yet?
His remains are stuck right now in Berlin. As I said, he's German-American, but the rest of the journey in bringing him here would be with the help of our administration, which is right now very busy with negotiations with the tyrants of Iran. So for some reason, we have not reached any response from our administration if they're going to bring their tortured and murdered hostage back home. I mean, my father could have been saved in 2023 when we had a hostage deal with the Islamic regime. He was left behind.
So your dad was targeted for simply allowing Iranians to communicate with each other outside of the regime's watchful, spying eye. And that was such a threat, they killed him over it. Can you imagine now? I mean, now we have Israeli leaders openly calling, saying, Iranians, now is the time, rise up. What are the chances that will happen, that could happen?
If we look at history and the last 46 years, as I said, this regime is not Iranian. Ayatollah Khomeini was schooled in Iraq by Arab Islamists. He came with the words to Iran that he will let Iran burn to light the flight of Islam everywhere. So this regime came to destroy Iranians. That's why they're killing Iranians on a regular basis. So since day one, the Iranians have been uprising. So I have no doubt that they will use every situation, every momentum to rise against their oppressors. The only problem is, looking back at 2009, at 2023, their uprising has not been just crushed by the regime. It has always been crushed when our Western governments decided to throw a lifeline to the Ayatollahs, be it a nuclear deal, be it a hostage deal, any kind of deal with these Islamists means money in the pockets of these Islamists. So the question is not, will the people of Iran rise? Will Israel protect them? I'm sure of both of that. The question is, what will our administration do? Will they continue to say that they want to negotiate with the people that scream death to America and want to assassinate us? Or will they right now reach out to the people of Iran and say, we have your back, no more deals with your oppressors?
We just, and you know, it is not easy to overthrow a regime with a grip on power the way the Ayatollah has his grip on power in Iran. We saw more than 20,000 people arrested. We saw hundreds of people killed in the mass protests, the biggest mass protests in years, back in 2022, 2023, after a young woman was killed in police custody after she was arrested for not covering her head with a veil properly. I mean, 500 people killed. That uprising, you know, big as it was then, didn't lead anywhere.
I wouldn't say that it did not lead anywhere. The regime right now is at its weakest. anytime they lash out, anytime there is mass killings, mass executions. We have right now, every 4 hours, an Iranian is hanged to death. When you see that, it's out of the weakness and the fear of the regime. And to tell you the truth, it will not go without a bloodshed. That is clear. When we have regimes or ideologies that are genocidal, like the Nazi regime, like the communists, there is a lot of bloodshed. There is a lot of horrific things happening, but we have to get them out, because what started in Iran will not stay in Iran. They have their tentacles out. They have their groups in Gaza, the Houthis, Hezbollah. They have their sleeper cells here in America trying to target us dissidents here, presidents here, Jews here. So until when are we just going to look away and say this is a problem in the Middle East and we're going to be bystanders?
Well, your father, in essence, gave his life to Iranians who were just trying to speak to each other freely and unite in their shared grievance over what they were being forced to live through. I imagine, as we look at the pictures of you and your dad now, this cannot be an easy time for you to be watching all this. Gazelle Sharmahd, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.